Hallo zusammen, I'm your Vlog Dave. Today I want to talk about gendering or gendern, as we call it in Germany too, in the German language. What it means and, well, which purpose it might have. So both these terms, gendering and gendern, refer to certain linguistic phenomenons, you could say. And the basic idea is to have equality between men and women in the German language too, between the two genders. Gendering bedeutet im Sprachgebrauch die unterschiedlichen Geschlechter zu berücksichtigen. So all of this basically refers to the idea of equality between men and women. There are many different ways of trying to achieve this, and today I'm gonna be talking about two major ways and two common ways to do this linguistically. So for the first way of doing this, let's take a look at the term der Student Singular, die Studenten Plural. The following approach could be called die geschlechtsneutrale Sprache. In this case, both male and female students are meant and addressed by a single neutral term that doesn't focus on either just men or women in particular. Der Student or die Studenten, the plural term, might lead to limited interpretations because they might be thinking of male students or men in particular when they are hearing or using that word, even if it might be subconsciously. And this is where the gender-neutral approach begins, because people came up with a new neutral term, die Studierende Plural instead of die Studenten Plural. The idea is that the plural term die Studierende doesn't prioritize one gender over the other, because that is how many people might associate terms and interpret terms such as der Student, because they'd say, well, this is rather limited to male students, to men being students, although it actually could mean the whole group of students as well. You could also use it as a hyponym. One of the primary questions is, does the grammatical gender of a word lead to an exclusive association of either men or women? Does language actually lead to some kind of a discrimination even? Is language able to shape your cognition and perception and how you associate things in general? I totally say yes, it is possible. Depending on that, however, you realize that many thoughts and imaginations we have are linked to language and your respective linguistic system, at least to a great extent, I'd say. So using gender-neutral words and a gender-neutral language is one way of trying to achieve equality in the linguistic field as well. And a different thing is to use specific terms and to name both of them at the same time, one distinctively for men and one specifically for women. You could call this a rather gender-specific linguistic approach. In this case, der Student Singular, die Studenten Plural could refer to students in general, regardless of their gender. But you could also say it primarily refers to male students, to men being students. And because you could also interpret it like this, people came up with a distinctive term just for female students. Die Studenten Singular, die Studentinnen Plural. When you compare both pairs of words, you can see that there are different suffixes. For die Studenten, it's the suffix -in, and for the plural form, die Studentinnen, it's the suffix -innen. And those two suffixes are recurring suffixes for these cases, for words that are specifically referring to either a single woman or many women. You can find these suffixes in many cases, for instance when someone refers to an occupation or profession. Der Lehrer versus die Lehrerin. So for instance, imagine a German mayor reaching out to his citizens, to his town folks, so to speak. Most probably he's gonna start his speech by saying something like sehr geehrte Bürgerinnen und Bürger or liebe Bürgerinnen und Bürger. So Here you can see he's using two distinctive terms. One is addressing men in particular and one is addressing women in particular. So what do you think about all of this? I'd like to know, because to be honest, I'm quite divided regarding this topic. On the one hand, I can see the need and the necessity of doing something against discrimination of women and doing something against sexism and all that. I can totally see that, I can totally understand that, I totally agree with that. But on the other hand, I can also relate to people that are kind of reluctant and hesitant towards this, because they might say something like, well, it's forced upon us. People try to educate how we should speak and how we are allowed to speak. I guess there are many people in general that think, well, this kind of political correctness might be a bit too much here and there. So I would like to know, what do you think about this? And what is the situation like in your country or in your language system? Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you want to support me and this channel, leave a like, share this video with other people and don't hesitate to subscribe. You can also support me on the crowdfunding page Patreon. That really helps a lot and makes this channel possible. I'm your Vlog Dave, tschüss und bis zum nächsten Mal.